This car is the most honest car you ever see.
It's been a dream ever since I've had it.
The first time I heard that engine screaming, I thought, I gotta have one of those.
For me, the cars have personality.
What's great about a BMW Classic is the community that surrounds it.
When you listen to that, that's why we're here.
Welcome to Classic Heart, the BMW Group Classic Podcast. This is JP, and our guest today is Dee Fragos from Athens. Some of our listeners may already know Dee, as he is quite a big name in the Classic Mini community. And I would like to give him an official title of a Mini Ambassador. So welcome, Dee, and how are you?
Hey, how are you, JP? I'm great, buddy. It's so nice to be here. It's a huge honor to be here with you.
Our pleasure, Dee, our pleasure. We did several films about you. And for those who would like to have a face to this fantastic sounding voice, please Google our brands, our stories, or visit the BMW Group Classic YouTube channel. But Dee, I would rather like to hear your story from yourself. So why does your heart beat for Mini?
It's really like a fairy tale. So my grandpa was a truck driver, and we have to go back to the 50s, like after World War II Greece, where cars were like very, very few. And my grandpa, worked his way and got his own truck. And that's all he had for like 38 years. That was his car. It was a truck. And then he retired in 1985. And he goes from the big truck to one of the smallest cars available. And I'm like, okay, because that's how it was back then. He would take his family with a truck, go on holidays or everything. It was his saloon car. I mean, it wasn't like today where you might be, a truck driver and have a couple other cars for your family and stuff. That was it back then. He had just his truck. And I tell you that because when he sold his truck, he got a good, he got a fair amount of money back,
Yeah.
He could buy literally anything he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, enjoy his retirement, a nice big sedan maybe. And he goes on and he buys a Classic Mini. And that decision changed my life forever. I mean, it's insane. I'm like, Grounds, how come you bought a Mini? And he goes like, well, I just wanted a small car. I like the looks because it's like it's smiling at you. And that's the truth. I mean, you can feel it. It has a personality. It's not just a car. It's not just a grill. It's not just two headlamps and a grill. It's a car that smiles back at you. And that car became a member of the family, literally. I mean, I remember my grandpa picking me up from daycare, and I would instantly recognize the engine noise from far away and say, there's my grandpa coming for me to get me.
Nice.
I mean, we did all the road trips we did, all the experiences we did with this car. It literally felt like a member of the family. And when my grandpa had an accident in 1997, it was a sleepy driver hit him from behind.
Oh, wow.
The insurance company then told him we need to write it off. I mean, there's no way this car, it's not affordable. It can be fixed. But he was like, no, I'm going to fix this car. I'm going to keep this car. And it wasn't an easy task because growing up in a small town in Greece, things were not as they are in Athens, for example, because Athens was always the center of, car imports, shops, parts shops, you name it. And the further you would go into mainland, the worse it got. So our little hometown, there were very few shops that would get their hands on the Mini. And they didn't like the car. You needed some special tools to fix some stuff properly. It wasn't metric for most mechanics to work on, which they hated that. Like wrenches and sockets. Most tools required were imperial.
But in the end, he got the Mini back on the road. And then?
Then I grew up. I started growing up. And I gradually realized that this car is not like any other car. I mean, people would point at us when we would drive around town Kids would get excited. They think it's a toy car.
Yes.
Enlarged. And
Toy Story on roads.
yeah, exactly. Guys would stop my gramps on the road and say, you know, do you sell this car? Do you sell this car? All the time. You know, some guys would when we would park the car and get out, would stop and ask, "Oh man, this is the famous Mini Cooper car," because there's this. I like to say like pre Mr. Bean era.
Yeah.
You know, this show made the car very, very famous, and I love the show. But every time, you know, someone sees me with a car now, says, "Oh, there's a Mr. Bean car." But before this show, it was, "Oh, the Mini, the famous rally car. Oh man, I remember this car from local rallies because they would literally race this car a lot, even locally."
But as far as I understand, when your grandpa bought the car, Mini was not very popular in Greece, or at least not in rural parts.
Yeah.
So why did he choose a Mini? Did he ever tell you?
He told me he was between getting a Beetle and the Mini, but he kind of wasn't very comfortable with air cooling. So he felt more comfortable with the car having, you know, a water flowing cooling system.
Yeah. Could you describe the Mini to us a little bit?
Yeah.
Color, which model?
And that's the funny part. It was the very, very basic model. It was an 850. I mean, it was a Mini 850 with a basic trim and the basic wheels. It was a super basic car. So my Gramps Mini started out as the color was named Sand Glow. It pretty much like the beach color, the sand beach color.
Yeah.
It's very close to that tone. But after the accident, the guy painted to whatever yellow he had left over, which is a little bit darker than the original color. And the interior was brown, like classic 70s combination. I mean, you'd have like yellow or yellowish colors always combined with brown. And my Gramps car was special because it was made in Belgium, actually, not in the UK, because at that time, Mini had also production line in Belgium. The instruments, the center instruments, you know, the classic triple instruments had this wooden pattern, whereas the UK counterparts had this black vinyl theme going on.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. I didn't know that the Minis sold in Greece were produced in Belgium to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So your grandpa's Mini today is in your possession, and you worked quite a lot on it yourself. And in the end, you became a mechanic. How did that start?
After the accident, the guy who fixed it sprayed with what he had, like a different tone of paint, and he couldn't find some parts, so he modified parts from other cars to fit the car. And then I was like getting closer to 12, 13 years old, and I started getting online. You know, it was the era of forums.
Yeah.
You know, they were just starting 1999, 1998, somewhere there. And I would go to actually the only one message board in the world with Mini owners. And I would start asking for help, how to fix the car. And I remember then I really got the virus. That's when I got the virus. And I ordered the first workshop manual to start reading and get to know the car a little bit better. And I started, you know, trying to find my way with parts.
Yeah.
It was literally parts hunting. I mean, we would go to every single shop, every single yard in my hometown with a sample, or sometimes with not a sample, and just beg for parts.
Yeah.
I remember one time we had a problem with the indicator stalks. They broke off. So in the near city, which was like 80 miles away, I knew there was a shop with parts. So I get on the bus, 5 o'clock in the morning, arrive at this dude's shop, waiting for him to open up about 9 o'clock. He goes through a pile of parts. And I'm like, please, please, please. And he goes like, oh, there we go. And I pay for the part straight to the bus station, onto the bus, another hour and a half back home to install the part so we can have the car on the road again properly.
That's what I call dedication, I would say. But another thing, is it true that this car has also something to do with your bringing into the world?
My parents had a deli shop. You know, they would sell cheese, all kinds of dairy products and stuff. So my mom was pregnant to me, and she kept on working, and she's at the shop working, and she realizes, oops, it's time to go to the hospital. And my dad was away to get products for the shop. So my mom tells my grandpa, we have to go now. And he gets her in the Mini, and literally as fast as possible, he takes her to the hospital. And
nice.
That was it. Like, in a way, the Mini carried me into this world.
I mean, that explains absolutely the connection. And nowadays, you are a car mechanic, aren't you?
Yes, I work on cars, I work on trucks, I work on buses, I work for a shop. And I just wanted to mention that the Mini is not it's not a difficult car to work on. I mean, some jobs are more delicate because we're talking about a car that people don't realize it was 100% handmade. And it really depended actually on the day in the production line. I mean,
better on a Friday or a Monday.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I'm obsessed about is mini stories from workers that actually worked on the production line. And my buddy Brian Harris, he was an ex-Longbridge worker. He told me, D, it really depended on the day. It really depended on the shift, if it was like a day shift or a night shift. It really depended on the guy's mood, the actual final product that you would get. And that's the perfect thing about the Mini. It's not like a modern car that's made with robots and, all this automation. It was a car 100% handmade. And that really translates to how you fix this car. If you compromise a bit, that's what handmade means to me, at least. Like, it's not perfect. Handmade, it's not perfect. It can be very, very, very good. But for me, it's not perfect. So if you approach the Mini like this, you're never going to have a problem. You can modify everything from engine, brakes, interior, you name it. There's no end to it.
That's the point. If you look, for example, and I hope they return soon, the Mini United festivals, right?
Yeah.
I was at the Mini United Festival in Sanford.
Cool.
And the amount of modifications people do to their Minis, from totally crazy making a monster truck out of it or a limousine, to just minor things to bring them back to the absolute original condition and they have via the build sheet. Everything is possible with the Mini.
I mean, it never really stops. And I think the Mini, it's the only car I dare to say, because I haven't witnessed another car with such heavy modifications in the car scene, like people going crazy, altering the car so much, make it so unique. I mean, you hardly ever see two Minis alike out there.
No,
that's the truth. And that's what's great. But the amount of modifications I've seen, and even going back in like the 70s and 60s and 80s. I mean,
yes,
with the Mini, it started like right from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, from a start, people love the Mini, and it was always an example to express your individuality. I mean, the car was a perfect fit for a lifestyle that I've never seen before. Bit quirky, a bit special, a complete new side as a mini car compared to all the bigger cars driving around. And I think that's what's until today why people get associated with the Mini and they have a special relation to it. And I mean, Mini's 60th birthday was something very special for you. Normally, when someone has a birthday, friends come to visit, but on this special occasion, Mini visited its friends and you were the ambassador, meaning to do a little tour through England in a classic Mini. I mean, it must be 1,000+ kilometers that you drove to visit very important people who are related and connected to Mini and to Mini's history. Of course, nowadays, as you do, it was all covered by social media. But tell me, how was the tour for you? Did you enjoy it?
Oh man, what an experience. That was a life dream came true. I mean, it was unbelievable. And we went all these absolutely great landmarks of the Mini. And I have so many stories to share. We went to planned Oxford. We witnessed the production line there. It's so cool. We got a proper tour of the facilities. And then we went to Longbridge, and I met with a couple of ex-workers that actually worked on the production line there. And one guy, my buddy Steve, that's his name, he tells me, you know, I've got something for you. And the guy literally gave me some pieces of the last Mini that left Longbridge. If you remember, they salvaged the car. I can't remember how many years ago. I think it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was a Mini Clubman left in the tunnels.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And Steve is a salvager by trade, and everything was done legally. So he salvaged the car. He took permission to salvage the car, which is now in the British Motor Museum. But he had some very few little pieces from the carpet and stuff. And he goes like, I like your passion. I like your enthusiasm. You should have this. And I'm like, I literally started crying.
Yeah, totally understandable.
We met with great other people, young guys that starting to get excited with the car and the Mini scene and all that.
Yeah.
I had so much fun. We had this great little white Mini, and I was blasting Beatles nonstop touring England. It was one of my dreams, like drive a Mini in England around countryside playing Beatles nonstop. It was
very good.
It was unbelievable. It was like back to the 60s.
I mean, that sounds like the perfect Mini soundtrack, I would say.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can find this if you go to YouTube and type in Incredible Mini Tour. You will see Dee in his Mini going to all these personalities around Mini. And what I think it was a very nice way to celebrate, I have to say. That was very special. Do you own other Minis as well?
Right now, I have 2 cars. I have my Gramps car, which I take care of it, and I have the Mini pickup version.
Nice.
Which is another. I mean, I fell in love with this car instantly because my Gramps car will always be my Gramps car. Even now, when I drive it, I feel I'm still getting permission.
Yeah.
Even if my grandpa passed away. But my pickup is my car. It's my Mini. I have the liberty to do whatever I want with it. Whilst with my Gramps car, I try to keep it as it was left to me as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I also run the Mini Pickup International Club. The Mini Pickup is a big part of my life.
Yeah.
It's the model I fell in love because it combined my 2 worlds, my 2 car worlds. I mean, it was my grandpa that got me in cars with his truck stories and all that. Because when I first started, I started fixing trucks in my Gramps Mini. So when I realized there's a mini truck version, a mini pickup version, I was like, yes, that's my car.
I like this podcast so much, not only because I meet fantastic people, but I also like it. I learn a lot. So was the pickup an official Mini product?
Yes, from 1961.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, most people, when they see me driving, they will ask, is it a chopped version? Is it a custom version? Did you make it yourself? And no, the pickup was actually an official Mini product. It rolled off the production line in January 1961, and it was available for sale up until 1983. Well, compared to the other models in lower number.
Yeah.
I mean, only like approximately 54,000 pickups were made compared to its other commercial brother, the minivan, which was more popular. You know, for some people, it was more affordable to get a minivan because they would add a conversion, a rear seat conversion, so they get their whole family in. Whilst the pickup, there was a 40-mile-per-hour speed limit at first in the 60s. And besides that, it really sold very well to like plumbers, technicians, farms. The pickup was very, very popular with farms. It was a very popular farm car. And airports,
Yeah.
most people don't know that. It was a very popular little car for small airports and bigger airports. They would carry like fire extinguishing equipment with it, or tools, or cones for the runway and all that.
I don't know which was maybe British Airways was existing at the time. I think it was BACC or something like this. But it would be nice to have a British Airways livered mini pickup.
There's an Olympic Airways livery pickup.
Nice.
But there's not a surviving example. There's a minivan as a surviving example. I mean, it was a car not as popular again as the other mini products, and it was popular for the wrong reasons, because they would autographs race it a lot.
Yeah.
Once a guy told me he would buy 50 mini pickups just to smash them during the weekend. I mean, and now it's one of the rarest variants out there.
I mean, that is truly a horrible story. And they only bought them to destroy them? That doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, you could buy a pickup in the early 90s for as cheap as 50 pounds.
Amazing.
And
As I said, of course, I know the Countryman, I know the Clubman, all these kind of things, but I was not aware that the pickup was an original product.
yeah.
And it makes so much sense.
The good thing about, I mean, old mini products, even from factory, you could get them modified for every market out there. I mean, you would get different versions for the Nordic countries like Sweden, Norway. You'd get, different versions for the North American market. And we're talking about an era where car production was not as complicated as it is today. I mean,
Yes, less
you would have-
regulations.
yeah, I mean, there's still people trying to figure out the different amount of variants, the different versions, the different accessories. I mean, there's so much stuff out there that happened in the 60s and the 70s and 80s.
Yes.
So many local coach builders doing their own stuff. I mean, it's amazing.
So how do you do your research? Is it like all online or in between the community? Do you speak a lot with others and you find, listen, this was this coach builder who did this version of the Mini and so on?
I'm very obsessed with finding people that actually worked in the production line, as I told you previously. And I use social media a lot to get in contact with these people. And I have this amazing story to share. So I read an article about a guy that used to work in the production line. I mean, we're talking about a really old dude here. I think he was 90 years old.
Wow, yeah.
And I'm like, I got to find this guy and ask him some questions. So I go on Facebook, I go on social media and trying to find maybe some of his relatives, and I find his son. And I text his son and I'm like, hi, sorry to bother. Is it possible to ask your dad a couple of questions I have about, the mini production line and how things were done back in the day? And he goes like, yeah, here's his address. And the guy was responsible in various positions around the factory. So I write him a letter, and I send this letter, and I wait. And, a week goes by, a couple of weeks goes by, and I get a text later on from his son. And he tells me, my dad passed away, but he passed the letter to one of his colleagues so you can get your answers.
Wow. I mean, that's a very touching story. And I think it's an expression of the Mini community and the Mini feeling. Definitely.
Yeah.
So for him, it was so important. Maybe he wasn't able to answer anymore because of writing or whatever the reason could be. And to hand it over to someone he knows and trusted, that's a big thing.
I got chills.
Yes. I mean, this is no wonder why. I mean, it's a wonderful experience to see that someone is so caring about the Mini community that beyond his passing, he wants to make sure that everything is in order. Wonderful story.
If you own a Mini, you're a part of a family, of a global family. I mean, everybody knows everybody. Like if you go on a road trip, there's all kinds of mini groups out there.
Yes.
On social media, there's like a rescue mini group. Like if you go on a road trip and you have a problem with your car, you can ask for help there. See if there's somebody nearby to help you with parts and get the car going. There's all kinds of stuff out there. I mean, from my Gramps' decision to buy this little car, I got to know so many people around the world. I slept in so many people's houses. They treated me like family. I'm so grateful. I mean, the relationships, the friendships, it's unbelievable.
Yes, that's the amazing effect of communities. And I see similarities also to the 2002 community or the motorcycle community. I think it's true passion for the same thing that brings people together. So you can see that way. You develop lifelong friendships based on something you love and you appreciate. And I think that's just amazing. Dee, we have a little surprise for you. We call it the pit stop.
Okay.
I will ask you a few questions and you'll answer without thinking too much. And are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Give it to me.
Okay, classic hard pit stop. Here we go. Mini Silver Bullet or Mini British Open?
British Open.
Black or colorful?
Black.
Mint condition or enthusiastically driven condition?
Enthusiastically driven condition.
Driving alone or driving with passengers?
Alone.
Car sharing or no car?
No car.
Road trip or racetrack?
Road trip.
Autobahn or country road?
Country road.
Stick shift or pedals?
Stick shift.
Petrol or diesel?
Petrol.
Diesel or electric?
Diesel.
Electric or no car?
Electric.
Engine in the front or in the back?
Engine in the front.
Engine in the front or in the middle?
Engine in the front.
Left-hand drive or right-hand drive?
Left-hand drive.
Right-hand drive or center drive?
Center drive would be cool.
Sell or keep?
Keep.
Buy at auction or at a dealership?
Auction.
Radio on or off while driving?
Radio on.
Classic Mini or modern Mini?
Both.
Okay, I'll let you go away with that answer. That's okay. I don't want to put you in the position. Let's speak about some of your answers, which I find very interesting.
Yeah.
Black or colorful? You said black. Why do you think that black works on cars quite well?
You know, what I keep saying is black is a color to be garaged. That's for sure.
Yes.
But it adds some luxury to any kind of vehicle. And especially if it's a metallic tone of black. I mean,
Very interesting approach.
It makes great contrast, especially if you have chrome items or silver wheels. But it's just this panache that the black color adds to a car. And that doesn't mean I don't like, bright colors. We had this discussion with my girlfriend about car colors. And I say, it's something about black that, I don't know, it's very attractive.
I never saw it that way, to be honest. But I think the point of elegance, and this is why all state limousines are black, and they have something mysterious in it, right? If you see a black van with a rock star in it, and you know what I mean. Even like an old black tour bus make a very impression. And of course, if we're looking back in our TV growing up, I mean, Knight Rider was a black car, so I think it has something mysterious and elegant.
I think black, in a way, you can say maybe black kind of exposes the car lines.
Yeah, I think if a car looks good in black, it looks also automatically good in color, and the other way around, not so much sometimes.
Exactly.
And then the third question was mint condition, enthusiastically driven condition. So that means for you, cars are meant to be driven, right?
Well, I totally respect guys that, keep their cars in pristine condition and spend a ton amount of money for parts and servicing and all that to keep them, stored in a garage without humidity and all that. It really depends on the model. But on the other hand, I strongly believe that cars are meant to be driven. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, I can say that because I'm a mechanic and I can fix most of the stuff.
Yes.
But for me, my cars, I enjoy them 100%. I take them out bad weather. You know, I don't double think about driving my cars, and I've done a lot of road trips. But on the other hand, as I told you, I mean, it's totally understandable if you have like a rare BMW.
Yeah.
I mean, like an M1, maybe, you know.
Yeah. In our podcast, we had a guest, a friend of mine from Berlin, Daniel Hoffman. He has an M1, a very special one. It's a sad story behind it because a good friend of his who owned the car passed away far too early.
Oh.
His name was Mike. And he handed over the car to Daniel because Daniel was always car crazy and he was always in love with the M1. And he said that I don't own the car, I just have the custodianship of the car because I do everything that Mike would have done with the car. And the car is also named Mike.
Oh.
And he drives the car pretty enthusiastically, I have to say. But then again, and I mean, this sounds always very cheesy, but I think don't be judgmental about how people love their cars. It's a very personal thing. It's how you love your, who are you're loving in your personal life. I think this applies to cars as well. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to judge to say you're not a car enthusiast because your cars are not driven. I personally, on your road, if I had cars, I would bring them out and drive. But I'm not judging exactly as you. And I have to say, judging in Concours events, I can tell you, it's amazing as well to see this high polished beauty queens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, to be fair, everyone has his niche and what he likes.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Right.
I agree, you know.
By the way, Dee, you're the first one ever in this pit stop. Really, the first one who answered on the question, car sharing or no car. You said no car. Please elaborate why you don't want to have a shared car.
As a car guy talking, it just makes the cars more like 100% objects. And I'll just, just remove some of the passion. I've tried car sharing in Italy, I think, like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It was very convenient, I must say, but I don't want to lose that in the future.
Sure.
I mean, it would be nice to have like both worlds.
Yes. I think that would be always the best. And I think also that's something that we need to strive for. And then you said radio on or off while driving. And now, of course, comes the question, is it only Beatles in your Mini or is also other music allowed?
It's all kinds of classic rock from like 50s and 60s to modern rock. I mean, it's part of my road trip. I mean, when I road trip is my therapy.
Unfortunately, time is ticking. So I have one question is burning under my nails. You live in Greece, in Athens, actually. And we all know, okay, this is the cradle of democracy. You have so many historical sites, some nice sea roads that remind you on the roads around Monaco and the French Riviera. So what would be, and this is a nice advice for everyone who tuned in, what would be your perfect mini road trip in Greece? From which point to what point you would drive?
All right, I have a couple of suggestions. If you're in Athens area, you can start from downtown Athens and just follow the road up to Sunio. That's how the place is called, Sunio Cape. It's a nice coastal ride that will get you to one of the most spectacular views of the Aegean Sea. And there's plenty of space to park there. And it's definitely one of my top routes to enjoy my classic car. And the other one, we have to go north of Greece and start from a place, and start from Thessaloniki maybe.
Yeah.
It's north of Greece. And just avoid the highway, the Egnatia highway, and just go coastal up till Alexandroupoli. That's how the city is called. And it's again another coastal route. And I think it's part of an international classic car rally. That's my top.
Very good. I think that's very nice tips. Dee, if someone would like to meet you this year, are you planning to go to any events?
So this summer I have something very special coming up. I organized the first festival dedicated to the mini pickup. It's called Pop Fest.
Wow.
It's taking place at British Motor Museum at Gaydon. It's in July, Saturday, July 27th.
Yeah.
It's literally the first time a completely dedicated event for the mini pickup will take place, and we're so excited. We have up till now about 25 mini pickups registered,
Nice.
and hopefully there's more coming. I mean, for the mini pickup, that's a big number to have.
Yes.
And then there's an event in Norway, Sommerstreff 2024. It's an event from the Norwegian Mini Cooper Club. And in August, I'm so excited about it as well. See my friends in Norway once again. And yeah.
Amazing. But tell us more about this pickup meeting. So I don't know exactly when this will be published, but maybe we have the chance that you have a late entry. How could someone apply who owns a mini pickup?
You can just visit our website at www.minipickup.club. And in the homepage, there's a direct link that would give you more information and guide you on how to register and be part of the big party we have this summer for the pickup.
That sounds an amazing opportunity. Dee, I know there's endless mini love, and I think we could chat about minis endlessly. But in this case, I would say thank you very much for joining us.
It was my privilege. I'm so grateful you invited me. It was great.
It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it. And with this, we say goodbye. And you have to be very strong now because Classic Heart Podcast is taking a little summer break. So that means please enjoy all the episodes you have missed maybe, because the next episode will be released on September 12th. But before everyone goes on vacation and their summer holidays, start road trips, or spend some time in a garage to repair their own projects, do us one little favor. Please leave us a 5-star rating. That would help us and others to find our podcast. And if you haven't pushed the subscribe button, please do so, because then you will not miss our summer vacation return on the 12th of September. And this podcast would not have been possible with a great team behind it. And for this, I would like to thank our editor, Friederike von Königswald, Alex and Marcus from Scenario Studio in Munich, and last but not least, Robin, our producer. Thank you all for making this happen. And with this, I say thank you to Dee, and thank you to you all who tuned in. Have a great summer and hear you back soon. This is JP. Bye-bye.